Alrighty. Welcome back to 500 Doors because behind every door there is an opportunity. And we, as real estate agents, we have the opportunity to create the legacy spaces for people. And speaking of legacy and opportunity, as you can see, there's a vast difference in the backgrounds between Trevor and myself. My guest today, Trevor Stack. I see the L and I threw an L in there. Trevor Stack. Um, is a Calgary boy and should be here shoveling snow with me. However, he's down south. So, Trevor, you know what? You're going to say it way better than me. Who are you and where are you coming from?
That is absolutely right, Kim. So thanks for having me. My name is Trevor Stack. The L that you mentioned in my middle name actually stands for Lougheed. Peter Lougheed was my mother's father. So Peter Lougheed from Alberta is my grandfather. I come from Calgary, Alberta. I spent 7 years as a commercial real estate broker, leasing, selling industrial warehouses in Canada. And in 2014, I made the move out to what was then a very hidden gem, Belize, Central America. More specifically, the island of Ambergris Caye, which is the top tourist destination in Belize. And since then, we've grown to be the biggest real estate brokerage, not just in Belize, but in all of Central America and the Caribbean. And as of this year, Belize is the fastest growing tourist destination in the Caribbean. So we're riding the wave right now, and I couldn't be happier to be here in Belize, and I couldn't be happier to be speaking with you on your podcast today, Kim.
I'm jealous. I'm just saying right now. Um, do you guys have like island music? All I can do is I see the trees behind you, and I'm just
Yeah.
hearing island music, and I'm wishing for a siesta. And I know that's all Mexico, but that's as far south as I've been. What makes Belize great? Like, what is? I know that Belize a Commonwealth country? Is it
It is.
okay?
So Belize, it used to be a British colony. So Belize used to be British Honduras before it became independent and is now part of the British Commonwealth. Geographically, we're very close to Mexico. So we're just south of Mexico. From the Belize border, it's about a 3 hour drive to Tulum. If you go a little bit farther, you hit Playa del Carmen and then Cancun. So we're right here on the Yucatan Peninsula. Definitely one of the most beautiful parts of the world. The big difference is as soon as you cross the border into Belize, you're in an English speaking country with a British common law legal system, which this is a very big one because if you look at most real estate markets in this part of the world, they have two-tiered ownership systems. So Mexico, for example, if you're a foreigner and you want to own property, you have to set up a bank trust. You can't actually own it under your name. Whereas in Belize, because it's a former British colony and it's a British common law legal system, a foreigner has full ownership rights. So you can actually hold the land title under your name or your company's name, which is a big deal.
Oh, that is a big deal. And
Yeah,
that was honestly one of the hesitancies of us buying anything in Mexico,
yeah,
because at
yeah,
any point in time they just can come in and take it.
yeah.
That's literally, and that's why all the posts. Have you ever noticed in Mexico, all the buildings are half done on the next floor up? They're capped so they don't have to pay a certain tax. Like, it's just the craziest
Right.
stuff.
So Kim, I've actually been down that route myself. I did buy a pre-construction townhome in Tulum. I kind of had this
I love
vision at
Tulum.
the time
Yep.
of it's just a fun place. I thought this would be my bachelor boogie pad over in Tulum, 3 hour drive away. And I did go through the works on that. So most of that stuff is they're pre-sales, so you're buying off a rendering. You hope it ends up looking like the rendering, but what ended up happening is they got the whole thing built. I paid it out in full, but before I could set up the bank trust to own it, the municipality in Tulum had to actually set up the condo regime. So there was a full year where there was no condo regime set up, and therefore there was no property to put into a bank trust. So even though I paid the whole thing out, I technically didn't own it for a full year. And then afterwards, I realized that as a foreigner, they're going to hit me with like 30% capital gains if I ever want to sell it. And then the other key difference is that that market is just flooded with inventory right now. So it's really hard to make money as an investor over there, whereas here we've got
And
pretty limited inventory.
And as a Canadian with the,
Yeah,
you know, basically it's like, one Canadian dollar is worth like 40 cents American.
yeah, it's not looking good.
The Tulum market, and that's where I was at this past winter. We stayed at the
Yeah.
resort with the dolphins. It was so funny. I actually
Oh,
went with the dolphins, and nobody is ever allowed to ask my husband to share this horrific video they took of me swimming with the dolphins, because when I get excited, I scream. I am that crazy mom. And needless to say, my husband's at the margarita stand halfway across, and they all look around and go, "Ooh, there goes Kim." Right? But okay, I got distracted. Dolphins. But in Tulum, we noticed that the pricing is almost the same as in Florida now. Right?
mhm.
Is there a value proposition with going that little bit further to Belize?
They're completely different markets. So if you look at Tulum, Playa del Carmen, Cancun, they're pretty mature markets. There's just a lot of inventory. Like if you count the number of units in Cancun, for example, I believe it's over 30,000 units. Um, the big difference is here where I'm located in Ambergris Key. Like I mentioned at the beginning, we're the fastest growing destination in terms of overnight tourist arrivals. That just means there's 30% more people getting off airplanes and coming here than there were last year, but we just don't have that much inventory in the market. So if you look at the occupancy rates and the nightly rental rates, um, I can actually speak from personal experience because I've done Airbnbs here and I've done Airbnbs in Tulum. Um, in Tulum, we were able to stay in a 4,500 square foot, 5 bedroom house, pool in the living room, gym in the house for $200 a night. So it's a great place to
Wow.
be a
Yeah.
consumer. Here in
But
Belize, I built a pretty simple 800 square foot house, and my nightly rental rate was higher than what I'm receiving in terms of rent is higher than what I was paying to stay in this 5 bedroom mansion in Tulum. And the big reason is just the amount of units in the inventory isn't keeping up with the amount of people getting off airplanes and coming here. And then it's just a lot less complicated in terms of um,
purchasing.
tax is very
Yeah.
simple, ownership is very simple, English is the primary language.
Yeah.
There's no capital gains tax in Belize. Another big one is so property tax. So the house I'm in, appraised somewhere around 750,000 US. I pay $140 a year in property tax, Kim, and I paid on a credit card in April. So from pretty much all
Wow.
perspectives, it's a good place to be in.
What's the let's talk community and
Yeah,
like jurisdiction. Let's talk about
for sure.
what people always ask, safety. What's this, and by the way, 7 years in commercial real estate and now you're down in Belize. Did you start when you were 12? Or is Belize just magical, useful, like water down there or something? 'Cause you don't look like you've had that much time and you look
You
so
know,
youthful and healthy.
yeah. So I swear I started aging backwards when I moved here. Like if you look at a picture of me in 2018 before I moved to Belize, I look about 10 years older than I do now.
Wow.
I do.
I'm
I can
coming.
tell.
I'm coming. I'm not joking. I'm coming down. So let's talk about safety.
Yeah. So like any country, there's going to be some areas that are not so safe and some areas that are safe. If Belize is a small country in terms of population, there's less than 500,000 people in the country of Belize. So if you look at the crime statistics, almost all of the violent crime that takes place in Belize happens on the south side of Belize City. Hey
Okay.
Kim, did we lose my video here, or
No,
can you still see
no,
me?
I see you. I see
Okay,
you.
I must. On my end, it looks like we're frozen.
No.
Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. So back to crime. So Belize City is kind of like the most populous city in Belize. Most of the violent crime takes place there. Where I'm located in Ambergris Key, there's almost no violent crime. So to the point where I feel safer walking around here than I did back home in Calgary, Alberta, which it's
Yeah.
a pretty safe place. You've got the tourism police. They're basically there where if one of the tourists has a little too much to drink and can't find his way back to the hotel room, they'll sort of help them find their way back. But it's a very laid back place. You know, everyone's driving around on golf carts. Um, just a very laid back island vibe.
Amazing. Amazing. What's some of your favorite things like experientially? Like what are some of the things that if I was to come down and get a place, what are some of the things that I can do in your community, in your market?
Yeah, so the one really unique factor about where we are in Ambergris Key, Belize, is the Belize Great Barrier Reef. So when you have a chance, take a look at us. Take a look at Ambergris Key on Google Earth, and you'll see the largest. It's now the largest living reef in the world because most of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia is dead now. But that reef is only a couple hundred yards off the shore. You can literally take a paddleboard and go out to it. So it's some of the best snorkeling, scuba diving, fishing in the world. There's many other islands around here. So my favorite thing to do is just to jump in a boat and cruise over to all these hidden inlets and hidden islands. All beaches are public access. So some days we'll bring a barbecue, we'll bring a DJ, we'll have our own like Burning Man festival on all these little inlets. So those are some of my favorite experiences out here. Is and the water is like this bright green color. The only other place in
Wow.
the world I've seen it water like this is Bahamas.
Wow. I went to the Bahamas also just this last year and was the water was gorgeous. What's the water
Hmm.
temp? Because I noticed the Bahamas, we were there in, I want to say December, and for like a building convention. And
Hmm.
what was the like? What's the water temperature like? Can down there around Belize?
Well, so it's like bath water pretty much. So first off, the water depth is. I'd love to actually, if I can, at some point, just literally show you, like share my screen and show you everything. But
What
um,
we're going to do is on the video side, you're going to send me the links and we're going to
okay,
embed it. This time we're going to show people how gorgeous it is. How's that?
got it. Okay, that sounds amazing. So going out to the reef now. So on the east side of Ambergris Key, you're facing the Caribbean Ocean. Going out to the reef, the average water depth is like 6 to 8 feet, and then after the reef, it becomes very deep. On the west coast of Ambergris Key, facing inland, is where you have like this bright blue watercolor. It's where you get the sunset views, and there you can just walk out for hundreds of feet. There's no seagrass. It's like a big swimming pool. There's no tidal variance. The water's always just like kind of glass, very calm.
Wow.
You have to see it. There's no way that I can explain it to you without me
You
doing
know
it
what?
justice. I can't do it justice.
I'm excited to learn more and see everything that you send and such. The so when we look at community, we look at culture. So we're kind of moving. It's a very familiar culture to us. What are some of the things, if I come down, what are some things that happen locally that, visitors and tourists can engage in?
Oh, there,
Or
Kim,
people who
there's
come down
so
and buy? Like, what are some of the things? Is there like concerts in the park? Is there anything along
yeah,
those lines?
yeah. There's so much. So the Belize Tourism Board puts on all kinds of different music festivals with local talent. Um, like there's kind of a lot of local flair where the locals also nicest people in the world. People say Canadians are the nicest. If
No,
anyone
Canadians
comes
are
here,
polite. Canadians are polite. Polite is not
yes,
nice all the time.
the local Belizeans are genuinely the warmest, nicest people you'll ever meet. But back to your question, in terms of different events, there's all sorts of things. So we've got like Lobster Fest in the summer, where a ton of
Yum.
Americans come out for that. We're by the way, we're very close to the U.S. It's like 3 hour plane ride from Texas, 2.5 hours from Miami, flights from JFK for daily direct from LAX. So it's really easy for a lot of Americans and Canadians to come here. But yeah, there's all sorts of local events. There's the Belize International Music Festival. where we kind of help them with the press and the filming of all that stuff. And there's Lobster Fest is a big one. There's a culture here called the Garifuna culture. We have International Garifuna Day. It's a very unique blend of cultures here.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, it sounds like it's a place that, as a real estate agent, so let's talk about your brokerage. You have one of the largest brokerages. Like, you're young and you have built something that people in their 50s and 60s have been unable to build. Tell me about your brokerage and how you, as a real estate agent, are integrating, supporting, and cultivating community.
For sure. I think I have to give you a little backstory in order to really answer that question. But
Awesome.
my childhood best friend, Will Mitchell, he's been out here for a very long time. We went to university together back in Canada at the University of Victoria. After we graduated, I went into commercial real estate. His family had been investing out here, so he moved out here. Um, he was basically calling me every day saying, Trevor, you got to come out here. This is, we're at a tipping point. This market's going to take off. Uh, I was doing pretty well as a commercial real estate broker, so it seemed like a big risk. The time when I actually stepped foot here, there was one night where I had a little too much to drink. I'm sober now, I don't drink, but this one particular night, I called Will. Don't even remember talking to him. The next day I woke up, there was a flight that I don't even remember booking in my inbox leaving in 6 hours. So I got on that flight. I didn't tell anybody where I was going. And that's the first time I stepped foot in Belize. I ended up moving here full time in 2019, so kind of right before COVID. At that time, we really ramped up all of our marketing. So my colleague and business partner, Will, he's huge on YouTube. Anyone watching this, look up Will Mitchell Belize YouTube. You'll get a really good idea of what we do out here. So COVID hit. It was just Will and I and our other good friend, Dustin. We're trying to figure this whole thing out. So everyone's stuck at home in front of their computers. And most other real estate agents are kind of just waiting for this thing to end. We're out, we're filming all this content. We're going hard on marketing. And then all of a sudden we're getting 100, 200 leads per day reaching out to us. So at that point, we started building our big Remax office, which I'll actually pick the camera up and show you. It's right next to here. From there, we hired every person we've known for over a decade. So we've hired like 12 of our best friends, a few other guys that aren't from Canada, but mostly they're good old Alberta boys. And we just kind of rode this wave, and we learn every single day. We fine tune our systems every single day. We have our own video production studio where Wilf does all his YouTube videos. We've done collaborations with some of the biggest travel influencers in the world, like Lost LeBlanc and Passport Heavy. So we're always trying to sharpen our tools and get better. But that's kind of where we're at now. In terms of where we're at with respect to the whole Remax brokerage community, this year, my business partner, Will, was the top grossing Remax producer in the entire world, even including the US and Canada. I won Broker Owner of the Year for Central America and Caribbean the year before last. I believe I was number 9th ranked globally. So we came out here in 2019. I had no idea if this thing was going to work. I actually parked my commercial license back in Calgary because I thought I'd probably end up going back, and it just, we just took it one day at a time. We did our best every day. We didn't know how it was all going to evolve, and it's kind of just this perfect situation now.
Amazing. What do you do within the local community? Do you guys do you have quarterly kind of events, or are you like, what do you do locally from
So
your
much.
brand? I'd love to hear a few things you do.
Okay, so the latest one we did, this was on the front page of the San Pedro Scoop newspaper the other day, is we completely redid the basketball court in town. So the basketball court was all dilapidated. If anyone's watching this, I'd highly encourage you to go to Will's YouTube channel and take a look at this, because we did a whole video outlining the process. But we brought in an artist from Canada who turned it into this work of art, which it's right there downtown San Pedro, and it's kind of just transformed the whole vibe. And that was a big way to give back to the community. But there's a whole bunch of other things we do. We work with the animal shelters, Hope Haven. We hire a lot of the locals. If you look at the whole
Awesome.
ripple effect, in terms of not just within our brokerage, but we specialize in land and development. So the entire economy of all of our clients that are building, all of the locals we're working with, it's a big economy. We're essentially pioneers here, because this is still a very virgin young place, and we're playing a pretty big role in terms of how this island gets developed, and we're trying to do it as responsibly as we can.
Amazing. And you know what? We're fortunate in the sense that honestly, COVID changed the way we live and work. And
That's true.
and I think it's for a good thing, because I'm able to have conversations with people from Germany and Egypt and Belize, and I'm able to do this because the adoption and the normalization of technology. Um, how many people is a lot of Belize seasonal, or is it starting to become more year round? It's now just adopting it and as a new lifestyle.
Great question, Kim. So it's become a lot less seasonal than it was before COVID. And what I mean by that is we really did used to have kind of like a peak season for tourism, and then it would sort of dip down in September, October, August, whereas now it's a lot more steady. So we're definitely in peak season right now. So from January, February, March, April, basically all the way up to May, we're in peak season. Right now, the island, Ambergrisky, right now we're so booked out that I literally had a client the other day and I couldn't even find the guy a golf cart to rent. So our occupancy rates are like as high as they could possibly get.
Yeah.
The summer months you would think would be slower, but we're so close to Texas that we get a ton of Texans that come here in the summer to go fishing and to actually escape the heat.
I was going to say, because you're you're on the equator, correct? So you're going to have a more balance.
Yeah, it's a lot like Maui weather, and we're on the island, so we get this constant ocean breeze. So it's really steady year round. It really only varies by about 5 degrees year round.
Yeah.
Super comfortable weather. And then in terms of the whole digital nomad aspect of it, yeah, like there's a lot of people that are looking at Ambergris Caye, Belize as this is a place where I can escape the rat race. I can do my thing. It's a place where you can establish a company here, very easy to set up a business, not much red tape, almost no corporate tax, and run your business out of here. A lot of people are starting to catch on to this.
I may have to talk to you about that. Because that's the road that I'm on, is that whole digital. I think there's a lot of people looking for, especially I think a lot of people over 45 are really tired, really like the grinding it out. And when we watch these people under 30 who are converting buses and choosing to live their life as a nomad, and I sit there and I watch every bus conversion. If you are hosting a bus, if you have a bus conversion, send me your YouTube channel or your TikTok.
Wow.
I will watch it, because there's this piece of me going, wow, what would life have been had I had that opportunity, right? So I think we're seeking that now.
Definitely.
Right? A lot of, yeah.
Well, Kim, I'd love to show you some things that some of our clients have done out here, because we still have, there's some areas where property is still very entry level priced. It's usually land, because there's not a lot of completed single family homes for sale, but we're selling between 30 to 50 lots per year in this on the west coast of, or sorry, per month, not per year, per month, 30 to 50 lots per month on the west coast of Ambergris Key in this area called Secret Beach. The lots are 50,000 US, but we have seller financing where the seller can finance 75% of the purchase price. So at that price point, there's a lot of people that are able to put 12,500 down, get a piece of own a piece of paradise a couple minutes from the beach, pay $100 a year in property tax, and then bring in like a tiny home or a shipping container
I was
conversion
going to ask
and
that.
really
Is it
set that up.
are you open then to prefab? Because I know that we're looking at a lot of modular and prefab
Yeah,
solutions that are ESG based. So, and a lot of even like mass timber construction that is literally everything's engineered in factory and it comes to you almost like a Lincoln log kit. You put it together
yeah.
and okay, interesting. How hard is it to get stuff in and out of Belize? So if I purchased a prefab property and there's some really
Yeah.
cool stuff out there,
Oh yeah.
how hard would well, I was just at a convention and I just actually interviewed 6 people who are doing ESG prefab adaptive reuse for all the
Okay.
commercial stuff that's starting to fall apart in North America. Um, they had these. They had the skirting for the exterior of the buildings that are all solar integrated, so you can literally turn
Wow.
a building into a battery now. It's the
Incredible.
craziest stuff, right? So it's designed to offset costs like in New York and stuff like that. But I'm sitting here going, what? I mean, could you go kind of off grid if you have that much sun, consistent sun year round?
Yeah, so Kim, I myself built an off-grid Airbnb where I have solar backup generator, solar batteries under the house. I have two 9,000-gallon water cisterns that collect rainwater from the roof, self-contained multi-chamber septic system. I've already built one myself,
Wow.
uh, it, and that it does great on the Airbnb market. It's also nice to have no utility bills. But in terms of prefab units, there's a big Mennonite community on the mainland, and these guys are really good with wood. Um, and what they do is they build these kind of beautiful, we call them Mennonite homes out here, but they use all local Belizean woods, so like mahogany, rosewood, bullet tree. They put these houses on a barge. The barge pulls right up to Secret Beach. It gets put onto a flatbed truck. They cruise over to the lot that our clients have. The foundations are in place. The bedrock is only about a foot or two below the surface. So what they do is they'll put concrete pilings down to bedrock, which makes it very easy to build on. They'll lift it up, put the house up on the pilings, and then attach all the off-grid utilities, and then do all the finishing work, and bang, you're good to go.
Amazing. So you're building a community.
Yes,
And
we're in the business of community building.
okay, now let's talk about this. You've done real estate in North America, in Canada,
Yep.
and you know how the rat race is. And not everybody can flock to Belize, otherwise we'd only have standing room. So, what advice would you give a real estate agent who
Right.
is setting up a practice or trying to figure out what the it factor that is missing from their business? And they we know the average real estate agent in North America now is like 8 transactions a year, so forth and
Yeah.
so on. What's one thing you think that every real estate agent should do for their community, or how to engage in their community?
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say, it's going to sound pretty generic, but it's just keep swinging. So if I go back to the early days of when I got into commercial real estate brokerage, I was doing downtown office leasing in my early 20s in Calgary when office vacancy was like over 30%.
Yep.
I dyed my hair gray to look older, going floor to floor, because the
Yep.
CEO of the company or the CFO, they don't want to talk to a 20-year-old guy. But I just kept trying, and then I started, and then from there I realized, okay, this is going to be hard. So I switched over to industrial, and what I found is when I walked into these industrial warehouses, the owners are usually there with overalls and a cigarette hanging out of their mouth, and they'll talk to me. So I was able to, I was kind of able to do a little bit better in that market, and I was more effective over there. But you really kind of need to find your niche, and it takes trial and error. And I think the big thing is, as well, is you need to know why you're doing it, because every person at the beginning is going to ask themselves, like me, what I'm driving through the industrial neighborhood at night in the winter in Calgary. It's ugly, and I'm trying to walk. I'm walking through these machine shops. You're gonna have to, and I'm saying, why am I doing this? So you have to have a really, really good reason of why am I doing this. Um,
Yeah.
and then I did all sorts of things to try to gain business. Like I remember I used to go on the Eventbrite website, where they would show where all their events are going on in Calgary. If there were certain events where that were geared towards like entrepreneurship, I would just show up at those events, because I would know that a lot of people there are starting businesses and probably looking to lease some space, and I would just go talk to them and try to generate business. And this was kind of before YouTube and online marketing was as big as it is now. Like we're talking, this is like 2016 ish.
Yeah. But you know
Um,
what? All those old things are back new in local markets. And it's
yeah,
it's getting out that networking, that connection. People, because we've all been hit up. I don't know if anybody's seen, I love all the new AI. Elon Musk was selling, or an image of, a likeness of Elon Musk was selling somebody's coaching program on Instagram. Now, that was only on Instagram for a couple days. I'm sure they got a cease and desist. However, we really want to know who we're dealing with. And I don't
yeah,
think you, Trevor, would be nearly
yes,
as successful in Belize if you were doing exactly what you're doing right now, but from Calgary. But
I agree.
because you're there and you gave people a basketball court, you came in and you're serving the community, you're creating jobs, you are becoming part of the fabric of the success of the community, it makes people want to work with you.
Yeah, and it's a small community too. So if I drive from one side of the island to the other, I'm going to be seeing dozens of people that I've helped to move here and get set up.
Yep.
So it really is kind of
And every
and it's
community
amazing.
is small. If you really look at it, if you're truly serving a community and you draw a line and
Yeah,
you're going to your grocery store and you're hitting the coffee shop and you're dropping off your dry clean, like if you're really really focused on building a business in real estate, you need to A, know your market, and B, be present.
absolutely. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so
You
knowing your market every day, we're trying to stay on top of it. We if there's any new developments taking place, we're usually the first to know. If there's any future developments planned, we kind of know all the players here, so we have a pretty good idea of where the puck is going. And then in terms of just keeping it real, I think, yeah, you really got to have empathy. And like like any sales position, it really just comes down to kind of taking myself out of the picture and really trying to understand what does this person really want and desire, even if they don't want to
absolutely.
tell, even if and sometimes people don't want to be or they won't kind of tell you everything up front, and they really need to feel comfortable with you. But I just want to. I never want to try to put a square peg into a round hole. I want to make sure whoever does come down here that they're the right fit for the right property. And I would rather not do the transaction if they're gonna do it and then a few years later say, I don't think this is the place for me. Because as beautiful as this place is, I mean, it's not it's not perfect either. It's not a place that you would come to if you want every street to be paved and have big shopping malls. Like it's people
Yeah,
come here for the natural beauty.
absolutely. Absolutely. Trevor, you have really inspired me, and I feel like I got a little dose of sun just by chatting with you today. I appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much, Kim. You've made my day just having me on here. So thank you.
Amazing. Oh, I'm so like I'm looking forward to learning more about Belize. I'm looking more to learn more about the barrier reef, and the waters and the
Yeah.
opportunities. Folks, all this information, everything that Trevor and I have talked about, will be in the show notes. We will ensure that his company website is in the show notes, and how you can reach out and learn more is all going to be in the show notes. Trevor, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you
I get
so much,
excited
Kim.
when I see people that are able to find, and I believe what you have found is that true, elusive work-life balance. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, this is it. Like, I
This
wouldn't
is
trade
it.
this for anything else. Especially, being here with like 10 of my best friends that I've known for over a decade. And before we go, I just need to plug Will Mitchell is the reason why. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be out here. His YouTube channel, everyone should take a look at that. It's Will Mitchell Belize on YouTube. If you really want to get an idea for what it's like over here, check that out.
Check it out.
And besides that, I'd love anyone who's interested in learning more about this market, or just is kind of sick of the way they're being treated over in Canada, the US, and wants a change of pace, or just wants to diversify their real estate investment portfolio. Happy to chat with anyone.
Well, and on that note, folks, I am off to shovel the back 40. Thank you, Trevor.